just to show you how deeply the tentacles of the secret societies have changed our governments, changed our way of life, and infiltrated into all religions. I am putting up for you the secret oath, their oath of agreement between each other. They are all linked together and they keep separate so that you don't recognize what they are up to. But this is their oath of agreement, and you need to understand how this has changed your way of life and is causing so much mayhem, so many wars, so much sickness in the world today. Now, there's one big reason why President Kennedy was assassinated, and I'll read some of his words to you. The very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret society, to their secret oaths, and to secret proceedings. We are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections, on intimidation instead of free choice. Its preparations are concealed, not published. Its failures are buried, not headlined. Its dissidents are silenced, not praised. That's why I'm asking you for your help. Now, you need to understand that is why President Kennedy was assassinated. Well, I don't know how you're going to accept this report, but a couple of friends of mine said don't publish it because you're going to upset too many people. And I'll tell you why it's going to upset a lot of people, because you see, we have been so thoroughly duped, so thoroughly deceived by the secret societies who are in control of all of the religions, which I gave to you before, and which are in control of all of the governments. And as such, I've narrowed down to this report to give you an idea just how deeply involved the secret societies and the tentacles of the secret societies have infiltrated into every part of your life. If you've already looked at the video with the chart that I gave you on the secret elite, have a look at it again. I'll put it up throughout the course of this film. But to begin with, because you've got to know the truth, it goes back a long way. And what we've been led to believe over 2,000 years is just a load of nonsense. Now, you might think that I'm gone loopy and I'm stupid and this report is just rubbish. Well, you could do your own research. I can guarantee you that I have not put one word up here that's not true. And you could double check it for yourself. And you've got to look at something here. Yes, you can follow lies of other people that they've given to you, but you can't lie to yourself. And you're going to be a juror in this. You're going to be a jury. Because at the end of this message, I'm going to ask you to make a decision on just how far we've been deceived. And in particular, how they've used the Bible to spread the lies. Yes, that's right. They've used the Bible to spread the lies. And we've been unwittingly so gullible that we've just followed what we were taught by either the rabbis or the pastors or the priests. And they've been using the Bible to spread lies which they concocted through the secret society network hundreds and hundreds of years ago. To begin with, I'm going to give you a chart to show you a timeline on the biblical Earth's history. So you've got an idea of what happened over the last 4,000 years. Then as I'm talking to you now too, I'm going to put up the secret society's secret oath, secret covenant. This secret covenant covers all of them. Bilderbergs, Illuminati, Masons, Fabians, Club of Rome, you name it, whatever. They're all part of the secret society network. And I'm putting up for you, as you're looking at me and listening to my presentation, you can stop the film at any time you want to stop it, and you can go back to any one of these tenets that I'm publishing in front of you on the screen to show you how these secret societies have had and are still controlling everything in your government, your religion, but in particular, they control the media and they control the health department. So you're getting poisons which you are told is good for you. And you're getting it in such a way that even children, babies, are injected with poison because they told you that it was good for your babies. I want you to make up your own mind when you've looked at this and you do your own research. At least please accept the truth and then take a course of action for yourself and your family and your children to abide by the truth, not a bag of lies, because you can't lie to yourself. Don't forget, it's up to you at the end of this message to make a decision as to how much of the lies you want to accept and how much truth do you want to follow. You know, what we've been reading about is the end of those people who were called Israel. We're talking about the first group called Israel. The reason why I'm telling you the first group called Israel is because you're going to see there's a second group called Israel. But before we go there, let's have a look at a few other warnings. There were numerous warnings, and then there were numerous punishments to try and get the people to give up their idolatry, their wickedness, their sinful ways. And if you want to know what wickedness or sin is, it's disobedience to the Creator God. It's going against His law and His ordinances, which He gave to the people to give to the world. Let me share something else with you from Jeremiah. And don't forget, this is also in the 4th century. But before we go into Jeremiah, just have a look at this chart with me. On the left-hand side, you can see we start at 900 BC because that is the time when Solomon's son Rehoboam took the throne. And of course, up the top side there, you can see that Jeroboam was called back to become the king of Israel. I might add that Jeroboam was an exiled general out of the army of Solomon, and he was called back by the people to take over the kingship. Then you've got the 10 tribes of Israel taken captive to Syria in 721 BC. Realize when that happened, Israel did not exist. But then you've got 100 and so years, 120 odd years, and you come forward to the 650 mark. You realize then by reading the text that we're going to show you in Jeremiah that the people had totally rejected Yahweh's laws and totally rejected His ordinances and were not faithful to Him. Now, when you're looking at this chart and you realize that in the 450 to the 586 BC mark, that is the time that they've been exiled into Babylon. That is also the time that you will read in the text with me that there were a group of self-imposed priests, self-imposed rabbis. They are the leaders of the people and they are teaching them nonsense. Yahweh said, "They speak in my name, but I did not send them and take no notice of them." Now, when they get to Babylon, they are the people that usurp the position as the leaders and the rabbis of the people, and they compose what is now regarded as the Talmud. Now, that's an illegal document that Yahweh said, "Do not add to my..." Now, as you realize that Yahweh God had told the people, do not add anything to His words, you realize that the Talmud is an illegal document, and it has been the main document that all of the different groups of Jews have been using since that date. And when you see the rest of this report, you'll be able to make your own mind up, and you'll realize that in that document, they dictated to the people that they were to call his name Hashem, Hashem. Now, that's a word in Hebrew meaning the name. But you're going to see in the text that Yahweh said to the people, my people will know me, my people will call me by my name. So we are not to call him by some other concoction of a name. And when you realize that Yahweh said that when you pray to me, you will pray to me by my holy name, you'll realize that all of the prayers that are being sent up to him using the name of Hashem, he has turned his back on. He has turned his face away from them. And that is one of the big reasons why all of those millions of people who were praying to Hashem in Ostrich, their prayers were not heard. Now, getting back to this chart before we go further, as you can see, Yahweh God had totally, and I mean totally, rejected Judah and Israel at that stage. And then you see they've got the Pharisees, the Sadducees, and the Sanhedrin, which they are going to start again. And the group that are calling themselves Jews today are not Israel. So you see that goes on now all the way through to 2000 BC. And this is also before they were finally exiled to Babylon. But it also will bring out the truth that they've been listening to fake rabbis, false teachings, and they were not about to take any correction. Hear these words from Yahweh. I'm in Jeremiah 7, verse 3 on. Thus says Yahweh, Master of Legions, God of Israel, improve your ways and your deeds, and I will cause you to dwell in this place. Do not trust the false statements. These are the false statements that have been given to them by the false rabbis. They were not speaking on behalf of Yahweh. They were giving a load of false doctrines to the people. They were saying, the sanctuary of Yahweh, the sanctuary of Yahweh, the sanctuary of Yahweh are they. Only if you truly improve your ways and your deeds, if you truly do justice between man and his fellow. Do not oppress a stranger, orphan, or widow, and do not shed innocent blood in this place, and do not go after the gods of your fathers. Gods of your fathers, to do your own harm. Then I will cause you to dwell in this place in the land that I did give to your forefathers forever and ever. Behold, though you trust in false statements that are of no use, can one steal, murder, commit adultery, swear falsely, burn incenses to Baal, go after the other gods that you never knew? Now we're talking about what is necessary to be as part of the people of Yahweh. And then come and stand before me in this temple upon which my name is proclaimed, and say, we are saved. So when there's evidence, you can see that the people believe in their hearts that they belong to Yahweh, the Creator God. But listen to what it goes on here to say from Yahweh. So they will come into the temple upon which my name is proclaimed and say, we are saved in order to continue committing all of these abominations. Has this temple upon which my name is proclaimed become a cave of criminals in your eyes? Moreover, behold, I have seen it, says Yahweh. For go to my shrine that is in Shiloh, where I caused my name to dwell there at first, and see what I did to it because of the wickedness of the people of Israel. So now, since you do all these deeds, the word of Yahweh, and I have spoken to you, speaking repeatedly to you through the prophets, speaking repeatedly to you, but you have not listened. I have called out to you, but you did not respond. I shall do to this temple, upon which my name is proclaimed, upon which you place your trust, and to the place that I have given to you and to your fathers, as I did to Shiloh. I shall cast you from my presence, as I cast out all of your brethren, all of the seed of Ephraim. And you, Jeremiah, do not pray for these people. Do not speak up for them with a cry and a prayer. And do not entreat me, Yahweh says, for I will not listen to you. Do you not see what they do in the cities of Judah and in the streets of Jerusalem? The sons gather wood, the fathers kindle a fire, the women knead dough to make pastries and cakes in honor of the Queen of Heaven. You might find, as we do the research on this, that's the hot cross buns, which are in the Catholic Church and the Christian Church today. You make pastries and cakes in honor of the Queen of Heaven, and to pour out libations to the gods of others in order to provoke me. Is it me they are provoking, the word of Yahweh? Is it not themselves bringing shame upon themselves? Therefore, thus says Yahweh, Elohim, behold, my anger and wrath will be poured out on this place. My anger and wrath will be poured out upon the people and upon the animals, upon the trees of the field and upon the fruits of the earth. It shall burn, it will not be extinguished. Thus says Yahweh, Master of Legions, God of Israel. Add your burnt offerings to your peace offerings and eat their meat, for I did not speak with your forefathers, nor did I command them on the day that I took them out of the land of Egypt, concerning burnt or peace offerings. Rather, it was only this thing that I commanded them, saying, hearken to my voice, that I will give your God, and you will be my people, and you will go on the entire way that I command you, so that it will be well for you. But they did not listen to my words, and they did not incline their ear, but followed their own counsels, their own visions of their evil heart. They went backwards, not forward. From the day your forefathers left the land of Egypt until this day, I sent to you all of my servants and prophets daily, rising early, sending them forth to you, but they would not listen to me, and they would not incline their ears. They stiffened their neck and became worse than what their forefathers were. You will tell them all these things, but they will not listen to you, Jeremiah. You will call out to them, but they will not answer you. Say out to them. This is what he's saying to Jeremiah to tell the people. Say unto them, This is the nation that would not listen to the voice of Yahweh, its God, and they would not accept rebuke or correction. Faith is lost. It is detached from their speech. Tear out your hair and throw it away. Proclaim lament from the hilltops. Yahweh has rejected and forsaken the generations of his wrath. For the children, Israel, Judah, have done what is evil in my eyes. The word of Yahweh. They have placed their abominations in the temple upon which my name is proclaimed, and they have contaminated. They have built the high places of Topheth that are in the valley of the son of Hinnom to burn their sons and their daughters in fire, which I had not commanded, and I had not entered it in my mind. Therefore, behold, the days are coming. This is in line with what Ezekiel chapters 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 gave you. The days are coming, the word of Yahweh, when it will no longer be called the Topheth and the valley of the son of Hinnom, but the valley of killing. For they will bury in Topheth until there is no more room to bury the people. The corpses of this people will become food for the birds of the heavens and the animals of the earth, and none will make them afraid. I will eliminate from the cities of Judah and from the streets of Jerusalem the sound of joy and the sound of gladness, the sound of groom and the sound of the bride, for the land will become ruined. As you can see, the group of Israel that is referred to here is not the same group that will be redeemed, called Israel. This is the group of Israel which you can see by the evidence. It is totally rejected by Yahweh their God. And I am in 9 verse 2. They draw their tongues, but their bow is falsehood. Not for good faith have they grown strong in the land, for they go forth from evil to evil. But me, they do not know me. The word of Yahweh. Let each man beware of his fellow. Do not trust any kin, for every kinsman acts perversely, and every acquaintance mongers slander. Each man mocks his fellow, and they do not speak the truth. They train their tongues to speak falsehood, striving to be iniquitous. Your dwelling is amid deceit. Because of their deceit they refuse to know me, says Yahweh. Therefore, thus says Yahweh, Master of Legions, behold, I shall purge them, and I shall test them. For what else can I do for the daughter of my people? Their tongue is like a drawn arrow. They speak deceit. With their mouth one speaks peace with his fellow, but inside of him he lays an ambush. Shall I not punish them for these things, says Yahweh? From a nation such as this shall my soul not exact vengeance. For the mountains I will raise my voice in weeping and wailing, and for the pastures of the wilderness in dirge, for they are parched, without a person passing by. And they will not hear the sound of cattle, for from the birds of heaven to an animal they have wandered off and gone. I shall make Jerusalem a heap of rubble. Jerusalem will be a serpent's lair. The cities of Judah I shall make a wasteland without any inhabitants. Woe is the wise man who will understand this. Who is he to whom the mouth of Yahweh speaks, that he may explain this to the people? For what reason did the land perish and become parched like the desert without a passer-by? I might add, this hasn't yet happened yet, but it is going to happen, as you read with me in Ezekiel chapters 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. But Yahweh has said, because of their forsaking the Torah that I put before them, and moreover they did not heed my voice to follow it, they followed the visions of their own heart. They followed Balaam, as their fathers had taught them. Therefore, thus says Yahweh, Master of Legions, God of Israel, behold, I am feeding these people wormwood and giving them poisonous water to drink. I shall scatter them amongst the nations that neither they nor their fathers ever knew. I shall send the sword after them until I have annihilated them. As you can see, this group of people called Israel are not the redeemed group in the later prophecies. Let's go to Jeremiah 10:10 and read those few verses, because it's referring to also what Yahweh gave to the prophet Daniel, which we'll take a quick look at. But have a look at these words with me. Yahweh God is true. He is the living God and the eternal King. From his anger the earth quakes, and nations throughout the earth cannot bear his wrath. So tell them this: the gods who did not make the heavens and the earth shall vanish from the earth and from under these heavens. Remember those words, the gods, all of them. Jesus, Allah, Krishna, Buddha, Hindu, whichever one you want, they're all going to vanish. But Yahweh made the earth with his might. He established the world with his wisdom, and with his understanding he spread out the heavens. At the sound of his placement of the multitude of the water in the heavens, he raised clouds from the end of the earth. He makes lightning bolts from the rain and brings forth wind from his treasuries. Every man is bereft of wisdom. Every smith is shamed by his graven image. For his molten idol is false, and there is no life in them. They are vanity, the work of deception. When they are dealt with, they shall perish. Unlike these is the portion of Jacob, for he is the moulder of everything, and Israel is the tribe that is his heritage. His name is Yahweh, Master of Legions. Gather your possessions from the land, you who live under this siege, for thus says Yahweh, behold, this time I am slinging out the dwellers of the land. I shall beleaguer them so that they may find their own punishment. Woe is me for my disaster, my wound is acute. I said to myself, it is but an ailment, I can bear it. But my tent has been plundered and all my cords have been snapped. My sons have left me and are no more. There is no longer anyone to pitch my tent, to set up my curtains, for the shepherds, rabbis, have been foolish, and they did not seek out Yahweh. Therefore, they did not succeed, and all their flock was being dispersed. The news of a report, behold, it comes, and a resounding noise from the land of the north, which will make the cities of Judah a wasteland. Again, showing you that Jerusalem is going to be totally destroyed. I might add, no Jews, no Christians are telling the people that Yahweh is going to destroy Jerusalem. And they will quote what happened with Titus from the Roman Empire in 70 AD, etc. Jerusalem wasn't total wasted then. What we're talking about is reduced to ashes, a heap of rubble. That is what he's going to do to Jerusalem. I know, Yahweh, that a man's path is not his own doing, nor can a man who walks direct his own steps. Chastise me, Yahweh, but with justice, not with your anger, lest you diminish me. Pour out your wrath upon the nations in the world that know you not, and upon the families that do not call out your name. You've got the Christian world thinking that Jesus is the created God. That is false. You've got the Jewish world believing that their God is Hashem. Hashem is not the name of the King of the universe. And I'll show you a report soon where millions of people, World War II, were praying to Yahweh. They were praying to Hashem, not Yahweh. And that is the reason why Yahweh didn't hear their prayers. Pour out the wrath on the nations that don't know you. Yahweh will consume all of these people, annihilate them, and devastate his abode. Now, I said that is also in line with Daniel chapter 2. We know that it is in line with that because I will read from you Daniel 2, verse 28. It says, "But there is a God in heaven who reveals the secrets." This is spoken to Nebuchadnezzar, who had a dream of an image with a head of gold, chest of silver, thighs of brass, legs of iron. And of course, all of the Christian theologians and documentaries, all of the Jewish theologians and commentaries will tell you that that was referring to Babylon, then Medo-Persia, then Greece and Rome and so forth. No, it wasn't. It was referring to the religious cultures and religious kingdoms of all of those sovereign countries. It goes on here, it says, "The God of heaven revealed the secret, and he has informed the king Nebuchadnezzar what will happen in the last days." So you see, if you looked at this image where it was crumbled to pieces back in the time of Nebuchadnezzar, something like 600 BC, 500 BC, that was not the last days. And what it tells you about it, and I'll read it from verse 34, "As you watched, the stone was hewn out without hands." Now, if a stone was hewn out without hands, it's by the hands of Yahweh, the Creator God. "This stone struck the statue on its feet of iron and earthenware, and it crumbled them. Then they crumbled together, the iron, the earthenware, the copper, the silver, and the gold." Hear that? The stone representing the mountain that fills the whole earth, which is the religious culture of what Yahweh will have, destroys all of the other gods. They were crumbled together. They became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. The wind carried them away, and no trace was found of them. And the stone that struck the statue became a great mountain and filled the whole earth. Well, how does a stone become a mountain to fill the whole earth? Obviously, that is going to be Yahweh's kingdom, his religion, his culture, that wipes out all of the others. So this is a Bible reading starting from Ezekiel, and I'm going to start from chapter 5, verse 5. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, this is Jerusalem, among the nations have I placed her, and all around her are countries. She's exchanged my laws for wickedness more than the nations did, and exchanged my decrees more than the countries that are around her. For they spurned my laws and did not follow my decrees. Therefore thus says Yahweh Elohim, because you readied yourself for sin more than the nations around you, you did not follow my decrees, you did not fulfill my laws, you did not even act according to the laws of the nations around you. Therefore thus says Yahweh, behold, I too am against you, and I will execute judgments in your midst before the eyes of the nations. I will do with you what I have never done, and the likes of which I will never do again, because of your abominations. Therefore, fathers will eat their sons in your midst, and sons will eat their fathers, and I will execute judgments amongst you and scatter your entire remnant to every direction. Therefore, as I live, the word of Yahweh, I swear that because you have defiled my sanctuary with all your detestations and all of your abominations, also I will diminish you. My eye will have no pity, and I too will show no compassion. 1/3 of you will die by the plague and be consumed by famine in your midst. 1/3 of you will fall all around you by the sword. And 1/3 I will scatter to every nation in the world. And I will unsheath the sword after them. My anger will be spent, and I will put my wrath to rest through punishing them, and so I will find consolation. Then they will know that I am Yahweh. I have spoken in my zeal when I spend my wrath upon them. I will make you into a ruin, a disgrace amongst the nations that are around you, before the eyes of every passerby. Jerusalem will be a disgrace and a taunt, a lesson and an astonishment to the nations that are around you when I execute judgments on you in anger. In wrath and with wrathful rebuke, I am Yahweh, I have spoken. When I dispatch against them the evil arrows of famine that are for destruction, which I will dispatch to destroy you, then I will intensify the famine upon you, and I will break your staff of bread. I will send against you famine and harmful beasts. They will bereave you, and plague and bloodshed will pass among you, and I will bring the sword against you. I am Yahweh, I have spoken. Chapter 6. The word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, direct your face towards the mountains of Israel, prophesy to them and say, Mountains of Israel, hear the word of Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh to the mountains and to the hills, to the ravines and to the valleys, behold, I am bringing a sword against you, and I will destroy your high places. Desolate will your altars be, and broken will your sun images be, and I will cast down your slain before your idols. I will set the corpses of the children of Israel before their idols, and I will scatter your bones around your altars. In all your habitations the cities will be destroyed, and the high places made desolate, so that your altars be destroyed and desolate, your idols broken and nullified, your sun god images cut down, and your deeds eradicated. Corpses will fall in your midst, and you will know then that I am Yahweh. But I will leave a remnant, so that you will have some survivors from the sword amongst the nations when you become scattered amongst the lands, and your survivors will remember me amongst the nations, where they were taken captive, how I was anguished by this straying of heart that turned away from me, and by their eyes that strayed after their idols. Then they will be disgusted with themselves for the evils they did through all of their abominations. Then they will know that I am Yahweh, that I did not speak in vain about doing this evil on them. Thus says Yahweh, clap your hands and stamp with your feet and say, alas, because of all the evil abominations of the house of Israel, who will fall by the sword, by the famine and by the plague. He who is far from battlefield will die by the plague. He who is near will fall by the sword, and he that remains and is besieged will die by the famine, and I will spend my wrath upon them. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. When their corpses will be among their idols, around the altars and on every high hill, and all the mountain tops and under every leafy tree and under the thick elm, the place where they offered the savour of pleasing aroma to all their idols, and I will stretch out my hand over them and lay the land waste and desolate. From the wilderness of Diblah throughout all the habitations, then they will know that I am Yahweh. Chapter 7. The word of Yahweh came to me, saying, You, son of man, thus said the Lord Yahweh, those who dwell upon the sword of Israel, an end. The end has come upon the four corners of the land. Now, the end is upon you. And I will send my anger against you, and I will judge you according to your ways, and I will place upon you punishment for all your abominations. My eye will not spare you, and I will not have any compassion, for I will place upon you punishment for your ways, and punishment for your abominations will be in your midst. Then you will know I am Yahweh. The dawn has come against you, O dwellers of the land. The time has come and the day of tumult is near, and it is not the joyous shout of mountains. Now speedily I will pour my wrath upon you, and I will spend my anger against you. And I will judge you according to your ways, and I will place you for punishment of your abominations. And my eye will not spare, and I will not have any compassion on you. I will place upon you punishment for your ways, punishment for your abominations, which will be in your midst. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. Behold the day, behold it comes, the dawn has gone forth, the rod has sprouted fruit, wantonness has blossomed. Violence has arisen to become a rod of wickedness. There is not among them, nor among their multitude, nor among their offspring, anyone among them who yearns for me. More from Ezekiel I'll continue Ezekiel chapter 7 from verse 12. The time has come, the day has arrived. Let the buyer not be glad, nor the seller mourn, for fury is upon her entire multitude. For the seller, he will not return to that which was sold as long as his soul is alive. For there was a prophetic vision for her entire multitude, it will not return. Each man, his very being remains with his iniquity. They will not fortify themselves. They will blow the horn and prepare everything, but no one will go to war. For my fury is upon them all. My fury is upon them all and her multitude. The sword is outside, the plague and the famine are inside. Whoever is in the field will die by the sword, and whoever is in the city, famine and plague will consume them. Their fugitives will flee, and they will be in the mountains, all of them moaning like pigeons of the valleys, each man in his iniquity. All hands will be weak, and all knees will melt like water. They will gird themselves in sackcloth, and terror will cover them. On every face will be shame, and on all their heads baldness. They will throw their silver in the streets, and their gold will become repulsive. For their silver and their gold will be unable to rescue them on the day of Yahweh's fury. They will not satisfy their souls, and they will not fill their stomachs. For it was a stumbling block of their iniquity, the beauty of his ornament. He is set for majesty, yet they made their abominable and detestable images within it. Therefore, I have made it into a repulsive thing for them. Yahweh speaking. And I will give it into the land of strangers for plunder, and unto the wicked of the earth for spoils, and then they will profane it. I will turn my face away from them, and they will profane the place where I am hidden. And into it will come lawless people to profane it. Make the chain, for the land is full of blood guilt, and the city is full of injustice. So I will bring the wickedest nations, and they will inherit their houses, and I will put an end to the pride of the mighty, and their holy places will be profaned. A cutting off is coming. They will seek peace, but there will be no peace. Disaster will come upon disaster, and report will be upon report. In vain will they seek visions from the prophet. You might recall that there was a bunch of rabbis, prophets that set themselves up and usurped themselves as prophets in Babylon when this was written. This was written approximately 550 BC. Those particular prophets, those who set themselves up as Kohanim, priests, Yahweh said, they speak in my name, but I did not send them. The king will mourn, and the leader will be clothed with consternation, and the hand of the people of the land will be confounded. I will act with them according to their ways, and by the judgments they deserve I will judge them. Then they will know that I am Yahweh. Ezekiel chapter 9. And this is posted for the future. He then called within my earshot within a loud voice, saying, Bring near those appointed over the city. These were angels, each with his weapon of destruction in his hand. And behold, 6 men were coming from the direction of the upper gate, that faces northward, each man with his sledgehammer in his hand, but one man amongst them was clothed in linen with a scribe's slate on his loins. More in Ezekiel 9, starting from verse 3. Then the glory of God of Israel ascended from atop of the cherub on which it had been, going to the threshold of the temple, and he called out to the man clothed in linen, on whose loins was the scribe's slate. Yahweh said to him, pass throughout the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem. Put a sign on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry, those who moan for all of the abominations that are done within it. Then he said to those within Maishot, pass through the city behind and smite, kill them. Let not your eye not spare, and do not have compassion. Slay old men, young men and maidens, children and women. You shall slay to utter destruction. But do not approach any of the men upon whom is the sign, and begin at my sanctuary, the synagogues, the churches. So they began with the elders who were before the temple. He said to them, defile the temple and fill the courtyards with the slain. Go forth. So they went forth, and they smote all in the city. And it was a while they were smiting Ezekiel the prophet, I remained and fell on my face. I cried out and said, alas, Yahweh, are you destroying the entire remnant of Israel as you pour out your wrath on Jerusalem? As you can see, this is Yahweh's day of wrath and vengeance. Then he said to me, the iniquity of the house of Israel and Judah is very, very great. The land has been filled with bloodshed, and the city has been filled with injustice. The land has been filled with bloodshed, and the city with the injustice, for they have said, Yahweh has forsaken this land. Yahweh doesn't see what we're doing. So I too, my eye will not spare, nor will I have compassion. I have placed their way upon their own head. Just then the man clothed in linen, with a slate upon his loins, brought back an answer, saying, I have done according to all that you have commanded me. This is more on the same subject, but it's from Jeremiah. It's written probably in the vicinity of 80 to 100 years after the Ezekiel prophecy. And I'm reading a couple of things from chapter 14 of Jeremiah, from verse 11, or verse 10. Thus says Yahweh concerning this people, indeed they like to move about. They did not spare their legs. So Yahweh found them undesirable. Now he will recall their iniquity, and he will punish them for their evil transgressions. Yahweh said to me, do not pray for the beneficiaries on behalf of these people. If they fast, I will not listen to their calls. If they sacrifice a burnt offering or meal offering, I will not accept them. For I am going to annihilate them by the sword, by famine, and by pestilence. Then I said, alas, Yahweh, behold, the false prophets, false rabbis, say to them, you will not see a sword, and famine will not befall you, for I will present you a true peace in this place. But Yahweh said to me, these prophets, rabbis, prophesy falsehood in my name. I did not send them nor command them to speak to them.
A false vision, divination, emptiness, and the deceptions of their heart is what they are prophesying to you. Therefore, thus says Yahweh concerning the prophets, the rabbis, who prophesy in my name, though I did not send them, yet they say, no sword and famine will never ever visit this land. Those prophets shall perish by the sword and by famine, and the people to whom they prophesy will be strewn about in the streets of Jerusalem because of the famine and the sword, and there will be no one to bury them. They, their wives, their sons and daughters, for I will have poured out their own evil upon them. Tell them this thing. My eyes drip tears night and day and do not stop, for the virgin daughter of my people is broken by a great disaster, a very sickening blow. If I go out to the field, behold, there are slain of the sword, and if I enter the city, behold, there are those ill from famine. For the prophets, priests, rabbis alike have given them falsehood throughout the land, for they did not know the word of Yahweh.
All right, well, now it's time for you to be the judge. You're the jury, and you're going to make a decision as to whether you believe the lies, or you can decipher the difference between the truth and the lies. When I said beginning of this report that they've used the Bible to spread their lies. I'll put up on the chart, so on the screen, so you can have a good look at it as I'm talking to you. It's called Yahweh's Decrees of Evil to Kill Them. And we're talking about the exiled Jews in Babylon that think they were it. They thought they were his people. They ignored his warnings. And they still were so stubborn and so arrogant and so ignorant that they thought they could go back to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. They cooked the books and they wrote up stories in the Bible to support this action of theirs. They even went to get to Darius a letter of approval to go to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple, and so forth and so on. First of all, have a look here. And I want you to look up these texts yourself and do your own research. In Zechariah, Ezra, Nehemiah, the prophets, they supported the falsehood which Yahweh is detested. They claimed a redemption. These people in Jerusalem now claimed it was a redemption, and that they had the right and the protection of Yahweh to rebuild the temple, the second temple. What happened when they got there under the Grecian Empire? Antiochus, he absolutely sacked the temple. The Hasmonean dynasty and the Jews adopted the Greek language. The Pharisees added the oral law, that's the Talmud, and thousands of Jews were killed. When they arrived in Jerusalem, 580,000 Jews were killed. At 50 BC, Rabbi Akiva Hanisi, he was the top man in the rabbinical movement. He even named Bar Kokhba as a Messiah, and he was 100% into what you now have as the oral law and the Talmud. In 70 AD, the Romans came in again and they destroyed the temple. Now, look at what's happening here. All of that minion of the Sanhedrin, the whole 10 of them, they were all killed by the enemies. And it's almost as if Yahweh set them up in a trap. All right, you fellas, you've been arrogant, you've been stubborn, and you think that you can come here, come back to Jerusalem, my city, rebuild the temple. Well, I'll tell you what's going to happen to you. You're going to get annihilated, exactly as Yahweh decreed. Now, in Jeremiah 29, and I want you to read it yourself, this is a lie to prop up their decision to return to Jerusalem and to build the second temple. when they got there, as I've just shown you, they were absolutely annihilated. Yahweh, their God, was not their God, was not their protection. Yahweh did not instruct them to rebuild this temple. Yes, there will be a second temple built, and it will be built by the authority of and under the protection of Yahweh. And that is something you've got to differentiate when you are reading these prophecies. On the bottom of that chart on the screen that you can see there, Rabbi Akiva, not only did they kill him, they skinned him alive. That's right. They took the skin off him alive. And the other fellow there, the other rabbi, the whole 10 of them, the minion of the Sanhedrin, they were so wicked, the whole lot of them were absolutely killed in pain and horror.